Morning Majlis, talking the stories that are shaping headlines. This is Pulse 95.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the show, and pretty interesting topic to get into, and I'd love to hear your opinion on this. So text us, the text lines are open at 4215. We're talking about working long hours, and it's quite an interesting topic, especially in light of the pandemic, where more and more people are working from home using the Zoom platform, and of course a lot of internet use as well. And I think that's blurred the line between showing up to the office and being home and having your own free time as well. So speaking on the prospect of working long hours, the World Health Organization has said that it is literally killing hundreds of thousands of people a year. They described it as a worsening trend. This is the first global study of the loss of life associated with working longer working hours. It's a paper in the journal Environment International, and it showed that 745,000 people died from stroke and heart disease associated with long working hours in 2016. And this is alarming because it is an increase of nearly 30% from 2000.
This is alarming, Ahmed, and according to the director of the WHO's Department of Environment, Climate Change and Health, Maria Neira, she said that working 55 hours or more per week is a serious health hazard. And what we want to do with this information is basically promote more action, more protection of workers. And this study that is produced by the WHO and the International Labour Organization, it showed that most victims, about 72% of them, were men and were middle-aged or older. Often, the deaths actually occurred much later in life, sometimes decades later than the shifts worked. It also showed that people living in Southeast Asia in particular, and the Western Pacific region, which is a WHO-defined region, which includes China, Japan, and Australia, were the most affected as well. So overall, the study, drawing on data from about 194 different countries, it said that working 55 hours or more a week is associated with a 35% higher risk of stroke and a 17% higher risk of dying from ischemic heart disease. That is compared with a 35 to 40 hour working week. So, yeah, the study basically covered the period of, as you mentioned, Ahmed, from 2000 until 2006, and it did not include the COVID-19 pandemic.
The period is 2000 to 2016. It didn't. So that also does not factor in the economic slowdown that we saw leading up to the COVID-19 situation. But this is the question that most of us would like to ask ourselves: are we working too much? Are we not giving ourselves enough time for just ourselves? Really, or are we not giving enough time to our own relatives? Look, there are certain signs of being burned out, and especially the reason why we're bringing the pandemic, no one's taken annual leave. I don't think many people have. Some people might have, some people might have taken a couple of days, because there's also been a bit of a threat in people's back of their minds, thinking, and listeners, correct me if I'm wrong, is if I take my time off longer than certain weeks, then my line managers or my HR department might not see the use of me. So they might let me go, because this was the time when everyone was wanting the sitting ducks. You would become a sitting duck if you were to take some time off. Now, a couple of signs that you're exhausted. And whilst you're working from home, there was a mentality that was built up. They're saying, if you're working from home, you're not really working. So from line manager's perspective.
Yeah.
So they would assign you more roles, and we're welcoming everyone's opinions. 4215, get involved, and even email us, morningmajlis@sba.net.ae if you're a bit shy in texting. First sign is you're exhausted.
Yeah.
That's given. Then there's also another sign that you're turning cynical. And third sign, they say, is you're feeling useless, you're feeling depressed, and you hate your job. Those are the signs that you are really, really burned out.
That's so true.
And another aspect that you should be thinking about is sleep is tough to get. Now, I suffer from that, sadly, because I literally...
You're sleep deprived?
I wouldn't say sleep deprived, but I sometimes feel sleep was a waste of time. You know,
Yeah, you do overwork
Yeah,
yourself.
so I do reach the stage of thinking, oh, I need my day schedule. I need to do this and do that and do that. Much to the disappointment of family members and much to the disappointment of spouses, for example, as well. It's not ideal. So this is where we have to ask ourselves. Another aspect that really interested me as well is the UAE labour law says, as per the law, is 48 hours per week is your requirement, which means or factors into 8 hours per day. But then obviously there's a lot of people who work 6 days a week.
Yeah.
So now they technically work more than those 48 hours. So that means they're touching that 55-hour barrier. How do we protect ourselves? That's a little bit of a question.
I feel the
isn't
biggest killer of all is losing your passion.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is the biggest killer, I feel. So if you're overworking yourself, you're going to start losing your passion for the thing that you're doing, whether it's work or something else. So that's why you need to take some time off. That's why when we take some time off, sometimes too much time off,
Oh, yeah.
we come back, we're like, I just miss work. And you come back fresh and you come back determined and you feel like you want to do new things. While when you were overworking yourself, you wouldn't have the time nor the passion to even think about creating new ideas or doing new things. So I feel that having more time off is definitely beneficial for the body, for the soul, for the mind, and for, if we're talking about work-related aspects, for work as well. So the employer will benefit more if they think about it for the long term. They will benefit more if they give you more time off.
Yeah, I think that's an absolutely great point here. Work performance in relation to overwork. And I've read some studies here, and they say that longer working hours are associated with sleep disruption. Now, sleep disruption causes a deterioration in your task performance. So you start making more errors, your pace of work slows down a little bit, your social behavior is impacted as well. Try being around someone who's pretty sleepy. It's going to be hard to engage and interact. So it does have, according to some research, a negative effect on your overall work performance. And that has ignited a debate within governments, industries, and organizations about the effectiveness of long working hours. And it's a pretty tricky subject to handle because every country is different and every occupation is different. So, for example, if you go to a low-income country overall, when there's a higher income inequality, you'll have more people working longer hours to try and make up for low hourly wages. You also have different industries. So truck drivers typically work very long hours. So trying to do a study on truck drivers is going to be pretty different from doing a study on people in the advertising profession who, based on the reputation, probably don't get a whole lot of sleep either. So the research isn't conclusive on the exact effects of longer working hours, but the fact that the World Health Organization has commented on this and issued some concrete findings is pretty important stuff. But do let us know on the text lines 4215. Do you find yourself overworked? Are you working overtime a lot of the time? Is this something that you want? Is it something you enjoy? Or do you find it detrimental to your overall productivity and well-being?
Spain actually was supposed to pilot this to become the first country in the world to test the 4-day work week.
That's cool, actually.
It's going to start maybe this fall.
Yeah, New Zealand was thinking about it as well.
Yeah,
I think it's a brilliant idea.
A lot of countries are going there.
I think it's a cool idea because I think we're very blessed in this country because we've sometimes got really long weekends. There's another 6-day long weekend apparently popping up for Eid al-Adha. And then when people do take those times off, they do refresh a little bit. But now comes to this question. What's the solution? Because it's right to complain. And now the HR organizations might say, oh, if we put a table tennis table or ping pong table in our office, maybe a slide just like the famous Google offices, maybe a bouncy castle, maybe cool bean bags, it might be great. But once you start using them, your HR department itself will say, okay, from our CCTV footage, we've calculated you spent 20 hours of your working week on your ping pong table.
So
it will come up, right? And so there is no quick fix solution. Everyone's going to have their say. Everyone's going to defend their own way of doing things, and it's really important for us to just take a step back and reevaluate what we're doing. But I think it's an unending debate when it comes to how much is someone working, because you're always going to pinpoint saying, I know that department in my own company, they never work. but they do work. According to you, they don't work too much. But yeah, do get involved on the text lines 4215.
In the end, it's all about productivity and your mental health.
And you know what? I think another aspect to this is women as well. According to research, when organizations push employees overall to work longer hours, a woman's career might be restricted, especially for partnered women with families as well, because according to the research, they're less likely to work longer hours, and when they do, they report poor health and major disruptions to their life overall. So it could pose an overall hindrance to their future career prospect when it's normalized as well. But it is a heated debate indeed, and it's something that governments, managers, and industries are all looking at to try and maximize productivity and ensure their workers are doing well as well. But I definitely think that, especially in light of COVID, the fact that working from home has become so normalized, you're pretty much working all day. You got to answer that email, that phone call. You can't really say anything about it, and you get on with it.
And your boss will tell you, come on, you're working from home.
Yeah, wait,
exactly.
what are you complaining about?
Wait, don't complain.
It's terrible.
They have a new excuse.
Exactly.
You
You're not even wasting time commuting between work to the office spaces. But do get involved on the text lines 4215 to share your thoughts and opinions. It is an engaging discussion for sure to kickstart your Monday morning and ease your Monday blues. Up next, we talk about the Arabian travel market. So do stay tuned to Pulse 95 as we will discuss the key findings from that event. This is the Morning Majlis only on Pulse 95.
This is Pulse 95.
Pulse 95.
It's the Morning Majlis.